So, alrighty. This is the second episode of Mice and Men. My name's David Song. I'm your host. This is my co-host,
Fernando?
and you're supposed to point to yourself, my friend.
Yes. Goofy.
Basically, today we have, thank you for joining us. I'm sure you guys already know, this podcast is meant to outreach to all of you here at the Empowerment Center, which is where I volunteer. They allow us to film here. You can find this place.
A place for healing.
It's a place for healing, but it's
Place for
also
community.
it's also right next door to the stabilization center. So if you're ever in crisis and you need to go to treatment or you need a place to stay for the night, it's not respite. If you need to go to detox and you need a place to stay the night before you're going to detox, then or you need to find a program or you need to and you have if you have an issue and you need stabilization, they will stabilize you. And then the Empowerment Center is more long-term
Trust the
treatment.
pills for stabilization.
Exactly. It helps if you're in crisis. But basically today we're going to be talking about street drugs and the dangers they pose and how street drugs and medicinal use of drugs, they're not the same. There's a very vast difference. I'm actually well studied in this because I am a case study in this in myself.
I got a couple dozen hours of YouTube video essays under my belt, so I'll have.
We're just talking from personal experience, but
From
we're
life
also
experience.
we're very well read. Well, I'm currently in school studying things like this, sociology, psychology. They all play a part in these things. So what I'm saying is just bear with us, be open-minded as we take this journey. Don't be Lenny. If you get the reference, you get the reference. We got to teach you guys some real books. But yeah, let's get into
Oh,
it.
Lenny, go first.
So there we go.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Shit. But yeah, here we go. So Fernando, I'm going to frame this. I'm going to take the lead on this. I'm going to frame this. Let's talk about your first situation with. Let's frame this like an interview. So I'll interview you about your first interaction with drugs and street drugs and how that progressed for you, and then we'll do it vice versa, because we're in this together. All right. All right. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions, as non-biased. Okay. So I'm just going to ask you, and you just let it off the handle. Talk freely. I just want you to see how it feels to talk about this, and then the audience is going to gauge how they feel, and hopefully, guys, like you said last time, be very interactive with us in the comments. You guys said last time,
We're trying to build a community.
yeah, we're trying to build a community here because that's what we're doing here at the Empowerment Center. So
We're all people trying to get better.
exactly. So just be interactive with us in the comments. We're not here to tear anyone down. That is the exact opposite of what we're doing. We're here to build each other up.
No,
So we're only looking for constructive criticism in the comments. If you're gonna be a hater, bro, be mature and scroll past the video. Be open-minded. That's all we ask. If you guys want to partake in this journey with us. So yeah, let's get into it. So Fernando, what was your first experience with drugs like?
I was 14 years old, and first of all, I grew up around in Yonkers, in Section 8 housing. So I was probably got a couple of secondhand high experiences, but the first time,
Since you were a little kid.
and just the music and culture, I went into middle school wanting to try.
Let's steer away from that. We don't want to. Sorry, I said
Sorry,
no.
frame,
You're good.
frame my, just
We want to
just get
talk
the
about
experience.
like only. That's more borders on the line of pseudoscience, because we're only talking about actual firm science here. Because we don't want to seem like hooligans.
The point I was going to get at is no
Yeah.
one forced me to try the drugs. I was very anti.
So you're talking about the
excited.
psychology aspect.
Yes.
Okay. Continue. I'm sorry.
About physics.
I'm sorry.
Everything's forced me to do everything because.
Yeah.
So I was 14. I was playing basketball in the park with my friends, who had already been smoking since the ages of 11 and crazy stuff like that. Just having their time in life, which now retrospectively a lot of them quit and stopped because they blame the substances for outcomes and they're caught in narratives. But we were playing and they offered me a hit. It was as simple as that, really. That was the first time anyone offered me a hit. I took it. I took probably too many hits for the first time smoking that.
So I'm going to stop you right there. Not that you can't finish your story. That right there, that word hit, that psychology of the word changes the exact use of your drug. So when you say, do you want to hit this? HIT is a term associated with the heroin epidemic. What year was the heroin epidemic? You would know better than me. I believe it was the 1960s, 1960s, 1970s. I know because Spike Lee references it and She's All That. But basically, HIT is an intravenous term. When like, oh, can I hit that? You're supposed
crack was in the 80s, and there was a what epidemic in the 90s?
Heroin.
So when it gets to the white people, it becomes.
Remember with the American Gangster, Blue Dream, Blue Magic?
I never seen it.
Oh well, yeah, that was the heroin epidemic. It's crazy. It's insane. We won't get into that because we're gonna get sidetracked.
Opioid.
But like, yeah, going back to the terminology, HIT is an intravenous. It associates from being an intravenous term. So when now immediately when you say, do you want to hit this, you're already associating your first drug use with the use of heroin. So that's why people associate marijuana as a gateway drug. It's not because marijuana is actually a gateway drug. It's because of the terminology that you have associated marijuana with. Because marijuana is scheduled as a class 1 substance, not anymore. Recently, extreme. We talked about this last time.
We're living in history.
We're living in history.
Moments.
Exactly.
History is a collection of moments.
Exactly. That's already history though. It's in the books. Our kids will learn about it. But going back to what I was saying, so you've already associated hardcore drugs with your first drug use, even though it was just marijuana. So that's the sociology of it. So continuing your story, I just wanted to clear that up for the audience.
So we took the hits, and we were playing basketball. So we were playing basketball, probably listening to J. Cole or something. And at some point, the psychoactive aspects of the drug started hitting me really hard, and I started having scenes of.
You started having skits.
Yeah, where I was convinced that I was convinced they were going to kill my family if I lost the game.
That's not paranoia. That's a skit. So paranoia is like, oh, the cops are going to come get us. We're going to get caught. We're all going to go to jail. And that paranoia is usually associated with the illegal use of the drug. That's why paranoia is no longer typically associated with marijuana after it was legalized, because that takes away any usual. So you had a skit because you, correct me if I'm wrong, you have priors with mental health, correct? So
Latino males, even regardless of drug use, age 21, that's when it hits us because we come from.
Exactly, we come from a bit. And all sociology and psychology affects these things vastly. Continue your story, please.
But I think what was happening is I had a first thought of I'm gonna play like they're gonna kill my family if I lose, and then
fascinating. No, continue that thought, please.
Sorry, in my head those were two very 1 + 1 = 2 statements.
You said I'm going to play like they're gonna kill my whole family.
Oh yeah,
and then you fell into it.
Sorry, I'm gonna read this. Humans are not incentivized to survive. They're incentivized to be stimulated. Examples of cave diving, skydiving, and even the people that get in the creeks we've seen those videos. You are constantly having an idea and are quickly proud or ashamed of it. Stimulation causes idea seeds. The mechanics behind this theory are perfectly illustrated in the idea of the game. For those of you that don't know about the game...
Can you read that slower, please, for the audience?
I apologize.
No, you're good.
Humans are not incentivized to survive. Humans are incentivized to be stimulated. This is what is...
Can I read it? Would that make it easier for you?
Yeah, I'm also making...
He wrote this, okay? You're not incentivizing to survive. You're incentivizing to be stimulated. Cave diving, skydiving. But 2, you are constantly having an idea. You are quickly proud of it or ashamed of it. Stimulation causes idea seeds. The mechanisms behind the theory are perfectly illustrated in the idea of the game.
Stop. Do you know what the game is?
What is your idea of the game?
It's called the game. Okay. There are also plenty of games. The game, but in this version of
you said what?
There are plenty of games that have the noun that in the English words the game, but the game is, I believe, a game kind of as old as time. You'll see what I mean.
Okay.
The idea of the game is to forget about the game. I just lost the fucking game. We're having a whole conversation. I didn't think about it.
No, you got it though.
Yeah, I proved my point. I proved my point. And then the rest of this is just building off of that first initial sketch of an idea. Humor as a mechanism to buffer, like in human beings, to buffer for thoughts that may happen to benefit further stimulation. So it's like we're both laughing and nothing bad's happening, but you know how laughing, you can be laughing with eye contact and you have nothing bad.
You got to slow down. I can't understand you.
Humor, like a lot of people will deprive themselves of the pleasures of life, like music and humor, because as a Christian man or whatever religion you are, a lot of religions, Muslim, Abrahamic faith, I'm Catholic, but by faith.
Abrahamic religion means it's usually monotheistic, only following one God. That's an Abrahamic religion. It follows the Father, the Christ, God. That the very European view of God. Am I wrong or correct?
No, it was started in the Middle East, but in more recent times, yeah, it's been the Europeans with the Christian.
So, well, Abraham is technically Isaac would be, because okay, so I actually know this. So like it goes back to the Bible. Okay, we're getting sidetracked. So go back to what you were saying about your story.
Because of the sword. And that was my first time with marijuana, and that led to exactly what is going to happen when you're using marijuana. My great.
Let's get a time check real quick.
344.
Okay.
I never had in elementary school. I killed it because I went to MLK in Section 80, and they let me rock. I even got a letter at some point for a school voucher to go up to like one of the richer kids' schools. And I said, my dad told me about it. I said yes, and then he was like, "No, I don't want to send you there." And I look back and still question that decision, but that's just one of those
As a
things.
child, we don't really think about the decisions our parents make for us because we're children. And then the older you get, you think, "Holy shit, why did they make that decision?" Like at least for me, when I hit my teenage years and I just started to come into sentience, because dude. I remember everything I did before I came into actual sentience, but like when I became free thinking and like self-aware, it was insane. I just started like, why did my parents do that to me? Why did this happen? And then I just started thinking, I was like, you know what? That the help is to separate your parents from being your parents and just looking at other people.
Other
Just
objects in
like,
space and time.
You're
that are
like,
affected by.
all right. So for my parents, it's just like I'm not gonna name drop them, but like let's just say they're Jane and Dick. Like right, it was just like for my parents, it was like, all right, that's not mom and pop, that's Jane and Dick. And Jane and Dick have issues just like me, and they're humans just like me, and they made mistakes. And if I was to be held to the same standard that I'm holding Dick and Jane to, I would kill myself. Do you understand the logic there? So it's just you have, like, when you're in therapy, they teach you to positively reframe these things. So, like, it's very interesting.
Every psychological complex and framework you just laid out, I had existing in my body as well at some point. I was just, but the main problem with my drug use at the time was the environments it put me in, because it was a Schedule I drug and I was minor, and just the way that works.
You were also probably smoking way shit because you grew up in New York City and the drug
No,
trade.
I grew up in the suburbs, so it was.
You said you grew up in the Bronx.
No, in Yonkers.
That's okay. So Yonkers. Okay, so I'm not familiar with the city like that. Crucify me. I'm sorry.
We're Americans. Being bad at geography, don't feel guilty for that. That's the thing of being honest.
But I don't know. I grew up. My family is from that area, so like it's very interesting. Like I don't know. I feel like the weed is so different now. After it was,
Yes.
It was these.
I've had experiences in Yonkers in the past 2 months where I'm walking down the street, the guy's walking around, and I can tell he's like a Rasta guy. I'm like, yo, talk, have an interaction. I'm like, yo, can I get a hit? Yeah, and he gives me the hit, and it's like, bro, when I was kicking up, I never saw it. Never saw it.
Well, that's just because it was different back then because it was criminalized.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. A Rasta man now feels comfortable to be like.
I'm making an exclamation point.
To be like, hey, I can give this brother a hit because he's all right. I'm not gonna go to jail. This little brother is not gonna go narco me to the police, and then I'm gonna go to jail for 30 fucking plus years because I let him hit my blunt and he tweaked out because he just don't know that spirituality.
Because he doesn't realize that
yet.
Because he doesn't realize that weed affects chemicals in a certain way.
People think that just.
Let
Let me finish. So please, people think that just because the world is different now and that weed is legal, that it takes away the spirituality of weed. No, the substance is just the key to that spirituality, right? For some people, other people they figured out how to get it.
You can get endorphins
without it, and that's my ultimate goal is to figure out how to get those endorphins without any substance, so that I can live my healthiest, longest life.
I have something to share after this. That's
about
this, but with another substance.
But like
that's it. The same thing with another.
Yeah, what's our time check? Because we still have to go vice versa.
3:47.
All right, so let's culminate it. Let's try calling it like 3 minutes. How did your drug use end up for you?
I was being taken advantage by drug dealers, and I was overfeeding myself a lot of different drugs that have strong psychoactive effects.
So,
I was
would it
overclocking my
be?
brain.
I'm not trying to rush you here, but just for the sake of time, would it be a stretch to say that you were addicted? It's not that you're not an addict. You're not nothing. No labels. But would you say that you were dependent on the substance?
Yes.
So
Period.
okay, I'm personally, so that you don't feel it, I'm a fucking bare bones addict. I was a former meth addict. I'm in recovery right now. I have no bones saying that because of the things that I did in active
Dude, you're
addiction.
great on your step thing, whatever they.
I don't actually work. I work RAP. That's what I work a RAP program, wellness recovery action program, because I'm a chronic relapser, and the programs that I've worked, a typical sobriety, it doesn't work for me because I'm a very odd case. You don't see a lot of young drug addicts. You don't really you don't
Yeah,
see a lot.
I look at you, I
sorry,
think
like,
like that.
you don't see a lot of old drug addicts. You see a lot of young drug addicts, and that's what makes drug addiction so sad. Because they say alcoholism, right? They say it's like getting eaten alive slowly by ants, and that's very painful because you can sustain alcoholism for years, and that's why you see old alcoholics who piss fucking wood. It's just depressing. So that's why drug addiction is so much sadder, because it robs the youth of light. It's the killer of light. Drugs are the killer of light. So it's very sad. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah.
Innocence is just. That's my thing. Why I don't think I'm gonna have or intentionally have biological children, because just the deal of life is like, so the stage is gonna end and I'm just gonna have to hope history remembers me. I get whatever I want.
But that's okay. So that thinking, that nihilistic thinking, right?
No, I've overcome it.
That's what I'm saying. But like for the audience, that nihilistic thinking is the death of you. It will always, that in rehab they called it that stinking thinking, right? And that stinking thinking is like a good old case of the fuck it's. You just get upset. You're like, life's not going my way. Screw it, I'm gonna go fucking use. I'm gonna try. It's the inability to deal with oneself, the way that one feels. And that's what street drugs do to you. They just make you feel like you can't be okay without that thing. And if you can't be okay without that thing, then you can't be okay with yourself. Because without that thing, you have the inability to be okay with yourself. And that's what makes an addict an addict. The inability to stop using despite adverse consequences. So, if you punch your dad in the face because you didn't have cocaine today, you're probably an addict. You understand what I'm saying? So, just know. Because drugs, they can't be glorified. There's nothing good about them. No Molly high. No matter how free you feel on that Molly, you're gonna feel 10 times worse when you're off of that Molly.
I have something to say for a certain demographic. I want to be a culture leader or not a culture leader, but like a culture designer, like someone that has a label and gives people lyrics to ghost, like I'll ghostwrite for you and all that. Yeah, here's the deal. But I'm not. I was with my brother earlier, and he listens to the Hypebeast rap that the episode started off with, and the lyric names of the songs MDMA. The lyrics.
Well, MDMA, there's a lot to be. Well, that's a different. We could talk about that next week. Next week we're going to be talking about the use of drugs in the use of drugs in medical use, and how they're actually quite beneficial, and they can be used in various different types of treatments for depression and mental illness and things like that.
Misinformation. We have to combat misinformation.
Yes, always combat misinformation. So next week, because that's a little bit more of a sensitive issue, and I'm not as well versed in. So next week we'll pull out some sources and cite some sources for you guys.
That's what I'm saying. If you're talking or wanting to have an opinion on this, and you haven't looked down the microscope, I'm sorry, you have to listen to people who professionally and know what they're doing and can produce stuff by looking down microscopes, affecting reality, and giving it stuff, and know the code of. You remember all that stuff in middle school, AGTA? Yeah, there are people on, even doctors.
So, I'm gonna plug the socials for you guys real quick, because that brings us to the end of the episode. We don't have a lot of time today. We're kind of on a little bit of a schedule today. I have things to do, but I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I didn't mean to preach too much, but I hope you did enjoy the TED Talk. You can find me at DavidSong55C on my Instagram handle. Obviously, if you guys are on the YouTube, maybe you like to see what I do in my free time. I'm a content creator, animator, do things like that, full-time student. I really hope you guys maybe would follow me on this journey that I'm taking in recovery. That would be really cool if you guys want to go on that journey with me. And then I'll let Fernando plug his socials.
All right. My Instagram, where you can find me just living my life, to be honest, sharing whatever music I'm working on, sharing essays, news, my raps. Dito.ny. YouTube. I want to get that more running. If you'll see, my shorts have been semi-active for the past 5 months. And I recently uploaded one of my SoundCloud songs up there, one of my like more confessionary, like powerful songs. And it's more of a get to boy know the boy channel, because the last uploads before that was a podcast. Yeah. Prepare for myself. On X, Dito_NY, and then on TikTok, number 4 Nandit number 4 ANDIT 0. I'm trying to blow up on there because that's from my music.
All right, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the episode.
Have a healing time.
Shout out to the Empowerment Center for letting us film here. If you're ever in crisis, help is
Dial
one step
988.
away.
Dial 988.
Thank you. 988 is a great number. If you're ever in crisis, help is a phone call away. It's not worth your life. It never is.
Your pride isn't worth your health.
It's really not. Just remember, recovery is not about sobriety. It's about waking up and doing better than you did yesterday. Have a great day, guys.